I need your help. This is a personal issue, but my husband won a treadmill that goes under your desk, and he didn't really want to have it at his office. And so I said, yeah, I want to use that. And I'm using it right now. I finally am making myself get it out of my closet, because when I was cleaning in here, I put it in my closet and I have it out, but I never have the right shoes on and it's in the way. If I try to use my chair now, I'm going to have to move this out of the way. If you have mastered using a treadmill under your desk, please message me. Either send me an email or DM me on Instagram at Tracy Hoth and tell me all the tips. What do you do? Do you wear your shoes while you work? Do you do it at a certain time? Where do you put it when you want to use your chair? I just need all the advice. Okay, that's my personal issue. And then I want to give you a little update on Organized Coach Academy. Students have been seriously running, no pun intended, with their success. And I just wanted to share a few quick wins. Rachel C. said, everything that I have implemented, that I have learned from you, has been tremendously helpful. The bookmarks bar, the 5 files, total game changers. Angie said, friends, I have been in this amazing course for 5 days, and I am blown away at the impact this is going to have on my business. I can't believe the changes I've implemented already. And then Rachel said this. Can you hear me? I'm breathing hard from walking while I do this. I hope the sound is okay. She said, it really hit me how much of a cluttered mind and lack of organization can mess with productivity and missed opportunities. She had that moment of panic when she couldn't find what she needed. She couldn't find a login to her course. She had to have her husband search on her computer and send her a screenshot. And she said, I won't forget it anytime soon. And if you remember, I've added custom GPTs in each of the modules, and I'm running it live right now, and people are using the GPTs. Mindy, the Mindset Mentor, is in the first module. And Rachel says, I used Mindy this morning as I was already feeling overwhelmed with everything on my list. Wow, Tracy, this is one of the most helpful tools I've used so far. And she is literally available 24/7 for you to go to whenever you need to sort out what's in your mind and maybe feel more organized and create a belief plan. I just love seeing the difference that organization makes. I already know it, but to have my students be seeing it is so excited. And it ties perfectly into today's episode. Today, I'm talking with Debbie Shadid, a coach who's not just dreaming about $1 million business, she's actively building it. And we're diving into radical decisions that Debbie made that changed her business overnight, why she built systems long before she needed them, the real truth about daily marketing and why it matters more than you think, and the mindset shift that moved her from stuck to scaling. So if you're ready for honest, she's very practical. She gives practical advice with a little behind the scenes peek into building a business that you actually love. Let's go. Are you ready to work less, feel more organized and productive, streamline repetitive tasks, and implement systems that allow your coaching business to run smoothly even without you? If so, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Organized Coach Podcast, your go-to source for practical tips and solutions. I'm your host, Tracy Hoth, professional organizer, certified life coach, simplifying expert, and most of all, down-to-earth fellow coach just like you. No matter if you think you're missing the organizing gene, have ADHD, or just love anything organizing, I'm here to help you become an organized coach with a business that works for you. Pull up a seat and let's get started. This is going to be a really good conversation. If you are like me and you want to see inside other people's businesses, see how other coaches make money, I always have to ask about getting organized, how they stay organized, or what systems they have in their business. But then my special guest today, Debbie Shadid, is also going to talk about how she helps coaches make money. So what better than to have you? Welcome, Debbie, to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I love to talk about all these things.
Yes. And why don't I have you introduce yourself and just tell us, what you do, how long you've been in business?
Well, thank you. I have been in business for a long time. I've been in business for myself since 2000. So, I started from an organizing point of view. I started when we had file cabinets, and we printed everything off and everybody signed papers and all that kind of stuff. I originally was a magazine publisher at a wedding magazine, and then I eventually expanded and I also had a family magazine. And kind of how I got into coaching is I was actually consulting women on their business. When we go back to the wedding business days, when I started, the women that I was working with, they were passionate, just like coaches are. They were passionate about, like, oh, I love flowers or I love cakes and I'm going to do this thing. And they would start a business just like a coach. And then they would have no idea about, like, I don't even know how to make a dollar or get a client, or is basically the exact same thing. So when I started my magazine, I successfully published my first issue right away. People were like, oh, I can't be in next month though, because I don't have any money. And it was like, what? Like, how can you have a business? And like, these ads were $135 a month. How can you be 1 month and not? So I realized immediately, I'm going to have to teach these people how to be in business or I will not have a business. So that's essentially how my business started. And so I basically sold advertising, but I was really a consultant. So I did that I consulted people and I had people that stayed in my magazine. I sold it in 2017, my wedding magazine in 2017. I had people that had been in 12 people who never missed 1 month in 17 years of being in my magazine. But I have to say, not to brag, but it's because they understood how to be in business. If their sales were down, they would call and say, what should we do? What promotion should we run? Or what should we? So, Tracy, that's how I got started actually in my business was, doing a magazine and to kind of roll into coaching. What happened then was I was just tired of, calling on people and keeping that magazine going and just distribution. I distributed 10,000 copies a month. And then I had 2 magazines for several years. It was a pretty substantial, business that I was running by myself. And so I decided to go online. I was working with a coach and she said, you're a consultant. Just package up what it is you teach these women, because the best I can tell, it's the exact same thing that you're telling all of them. And I was like, I guess it is. And so I did a little mind map and did it out. And that was in 2016. And so I did my first coaching program in 2016 and then it took off right away and sold my business in 2017. And I literally still teach the same steps, the same exact things that everybody needs to know about business, of course, now to coaches. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so fun hearing your story. So do you think when you started the magazine, you naturally had business abilities?
Yeah. So I would say I have always been in sales my whole life. I mean, that's the only way I've ever, to any coaches that are listening or business owners, we're all just commissioned salespeople. I mean, that's not what we want to think. We're like, no, I'm a life coach and I am a life coach too. I am certified life coach too. But it's like, no, really, we're selling ourselves every single day. And which is an identity we need to embrace. But I think I was always good at selling. And so when you're good at selling and, you can think of the salespeople, that are in the coaching world that talk about that, we're creative. And so we're always thinking in our mind, what's the next thing I should say? And how should I do it? And how should I capitalize on this opportunity? And what pricing structure can I talk to them about? I know that's how it started for me. When I first even before I got out of college, I was selling. So that's what evolved into me starting that magazine. And then I knew nothing about weddings. I just was buying a business. I wasn't trying to be in the wedding business. I soon found out that people thought I should love weddings. And I'm like, no, I just love making money. I want a business that I can take care of my daughter and do this. So yeah, I think I always probably had the knack for understanding business.
That's so interesting. Okay, I've been watching because we've known each other for quite a while. I've been watching your business just in the last year, especially, but even a little bit before that. And I want to talk about a couple things today. Just your story, how you've grown your business and make money in it and what it's took, because I look at it from the outside and you do so much. Like, it's quite amazing. Then I also want to talk about just the systems organizing part and then how you help coaches make money. So start Just like tell it what's been happening behind the scenes in your business.
Well, let me just quickly say in 2021, so my business, I was helping people in the wedding business. I was teaching them how to have profitable businesses and it was everything from branding to marketing message creation to, social media to all the exact same things I teach now. But it was people who were serving brides. And because I was in the online space, we're all taking classes and courses. I just on a whim thought, I think I'll add coaching to my thing, life coaching. And at the time that I went to the life coach school, I thought people need mindset work when it comes to business. And the mindset, you know, coaching ability that I had, I say was kind of like the power of positive thinking. That was the, Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy and all those kind of people. That's what I knew. And so it was like, I just tried to convince people, slap on a positive thought and go do the stuff, like, because I can do that. So that's why I went to the life coach school. Was I wasn't intending on coaching coaches. I went there because I thought this will help my clients be able to stay consistent, achieve their goals if I can help them overcome imposter syndrome or fear of exposure or whatever it was. So after I went to life coach school in certification, people were asking me like, wait, so how do you get in Google Drive? And what should I say to somebody when I do this? And who do you think I should help? Because they knew I had been in business for 21 years successfully. And they knew basically I was doing the same thing. So I kept helping people. And then it was like, wait a minute. I must have worked all those years to come to a moment like this because there is a dire need. And I am 60, and there are a lot of the coaches that women that were coming into the coaching certification that I was at I would say, be fair to say, would be midlife and beyond. Mm-hmm. And they did not have, even if they worked corporate jobs and were very successful, they were using their computers. So the skill, the tech, they didn't have any of that experience, and people were just getting so stuck. And I'm sure you can relate. At the certification that we went to, it was like, just run ads and turn on whatever. And people were asking me the most basic questions. So that's actually how I got into coaching coaches. I literally made one of these radical decisions where I was like, you know what? I'm shutting down my business. I had a list of like 5,000 people. I had clients. I'm not taking one more dollar out of that. And that I could have only done that because Brooke Castillo taught me about the word possible, like it's possible to think bigger. So I stopped my business and started coaching coaches just in a 1 day notice.
I know. I like how you say, I made a radical decision. It's like those radical decisions. That's when things happen.
Yeah. So that's what I did. I started coaching coaches in 21. And just to kind of, what have I done to get my business to here? I've worked my butt off. That's what I've done.
Well, I listened to one of your recent podcasts where you talked about working. Mm-hmm. And so many times you hear people like, oh, we only work this amount, 10 hours, 3 days a week or whatever. I loved how refreshing it was. Like, no, I work my butt off. Like, yeah. And that's what it takes. And maybe we're all thinking we shouldn't have to work.
Well, yes, I think that's the whole, I think I'm in the year of 2025. It's going to be my year of anti, like making a stand for the marketing that's online, because it has messed people up that come into my world. And I'm sure that come into your world, Tracy, because they come thinking that there's something wrong with them that they can't. I literally could get emotional and cry about this. It makes me so mad. They think there's something wrong with them because they can't, like, they should have made $100,000 by tomorrow, or they should be able to do this. And that's because somebody who's made millions is telling them something and nobody knows the backstory, that it took them 15 years to get there, and so it makes it look like there's something wrong with you. So that's kind of been my, Tracy, you do have to work hard. That's why I've been so much saying, like, guys, you're building a business. It's not easy to do this stuff. Just like you have to teach people. It's a skill to learn how to do this. The only people that win are the people who don't quit.
Yes.
Go work for somebody else. I don't mean to be catty or tacky when I say that, but If you want to work 9 to 5, go work for somebody else, because that's not what you signed up for. If you want to have a big business. Now, if you want to make 20 grand, then don't worry about it. You can do that. And that's totally doable, but you still have to learn how to do all the things still.
Yeah. Do all the things for sure. Okay, so you worked hard, you worked your
Yeah.
butt off.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is that? I mean, did you make a decision there? What drove that, or what sparked you making changes in your business?
I have always been responsible for things in my household, and so financially responsible. So, and again, maybe it's because I was a commission salesperson. There was never this thing of like, could I sit back? Because I always had in my mind of like, no, you can't sit back because you don't know what somebody's going to do tomorrow. I don't know what, I don't know. Is there going to be an ice storm, or we're going to be out of power for a week? And I don't know. So I have to keep going every day. But I do think that there is I'll ask people when they're on a consultation call with me, I'll say, now look, let's be honest. Are you paying the mortgage? And they're like taken back a little bit. And I'm like, okay, fill in the blank, whatever that is. It doesn't maybe meet, it's maybe not the mortgage, but if you really are responsible for some things in your business, you treat your business totally differently.
Mm.
If you are just like, it's a self-funded hobby, I am so game for helping you, but let's be honest about that part. So, sometimes I try to get those, and I have a lot of clients like that, and I'm so appreciative for all those people. But what I try to do is like, let's find something that would light you up. Like, I'm going to take my family to Italy for 10 days, and I'm going to pay for the whole thing. I'm going to pay for the tickets, and that's the goal, because you're not actually like buying the groceries,
Right.
So pick that thing that is the driver for you to keep going. So for me, the driver has always been, no, I'm a contributor in the household, you
Yeah.
know? So it's funny. This is very personal, what I'm going to say. My husband said to me yesterday, do you want to get a draw, or like a something deposit? And I said, what? And he goes, I mean, like, we could do that if you want to do that. And I said, no. No, what are you talking about? I was like almost taken aback. And I was thinking to myself, this is so funny, because what woman doesn't want that, right? And I was like, no, I mean, like, I'm all in on what I'm doing. No,
Yes.
so I'm not ready to slow down. That might have been his thought, was maybe slow down your work, Debbie, but no, I'm all in on what I'm doing. So.
Yeah. He's the one like, okay, when are you slowing down?
He's retired. So yes, he's downstairs with the grandkids right now. And I'm like, no, I'm up here. I'm doing both. I'm living the best life. So
Yeah. Yeah. So this last year,
mhm.
what are some of the big changes that you've made as far as marketing or
Yeah.
decisions, or what does it look like?
Well, I decided that I was going to make $1 million in my business. And so for somebody who thought I already did, I haven't. But people are like, you haven't do that yet. I'm like, no. But I decided I was going to do that. And, my business structure would not allow for that, truthfully. Although I have a very successful business, and I've done very well, I haven't reached that, crossed that $1 million mark yet. And the thing is I didn't have a business that could do that. So it's you talk about organization, and that was one of the questions that you asked me. The year of 2024 was, how does $1 Million Debbie, and y'all listening to my podcast have heard me talk about that. How does $1 Million Debbie create a business that does that and also change her life? So I started out the year saying, I want to work 3 easy days a week with a team that effortlessly supports me while I'm also earning over $1 million. And also, one of my biggest values is I want to create a hand-holding experience for our clients. So we do not cheat that at the expense of me trying to do those other 3 goals. So that just required me, Tracy, I spent all year long. I mean, I worked more this last year than I've worked, but in an effort to, restructure, rethink, reframe my thinking to to create a business and get the foundation really restructured. And that includes organization, that includes that. Boy, talk about not being organized. When you are going to a place like that, you realize you don't have, like, we just are finishing up SOPs.
Yeah.
And I am talking about detailed SOPs because I have 4 people and then I have all my own SOPs. And then we just brought on an integrator. And so there's a lot of, it's like a book that you hand over to somebody. There's a lot that goes from a person who's at a different level, who's not done hundreds and thousands in their business. You're thinking like, that's so easy. And it's like, it is. And also you have to be prepared for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the preparation stage.
You're more toward the end of that. You're so amazing. I think about SOPs too, and in you and where you're at, how you know now what your products are, you know what your processes are, and now you can document those.
Mm-hmm.
But I think so many people are in the early stages. How do you, I mean, from your perspective now that you're where you're at, how do you look at that? Because I question that too for different people. Like, if everything's still changing and you're making adjustments to your programs and you're trying something new, when do you get to the point where you decide this is what we're doing, and then now it's time to make all these processes?
Yeah. I think it's almost like it's almost like a collision. It's like, okay, where I was going with client, and again, my number one concern is making sure we're very heavily involved in reviewing everything our clients do and writing everything. We do branding with people. We review social media posts. So we are very heavily involved. So it's like, how do I create this boutique coaching experience for our clients and keep going? And it just becomes a collision. And there's no more time for Debbie. I can't go looking for anything else. Our productivity was just like, I could see we were, I don't know, at an impasse. Something was going to have to change. I will say though, Tracy, regarding when do you do that stuff? I think you're right. We've had SOPs along the way that were just like people writing up things, me paying people to write up things that we didn't really need to. I mean, I guess they might disagree because they're like my team members. I hate to even say virtual assistants because they're such an important part of my team, and they're more than that. They're experts at what they do, but maybe they were important to them, but I don't know that it made a difference in the business because I was still throwing things at them different every day.
Yeah.
But when it comes to starting your business, I'm a really big advocate of, I try to help people keep their business as simple as possible. Like I say, I'll make a marketing plan with you and it's only going to take us for a whole year. It's going to take an hour. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, we're going to pick 5 places to market. We're going to decide what days you're going to do that. And I'm going to help you pick 7 topics that we're going to talk about. And that's going to be your marketing plan. And people are like, no. No, that is a plan.
It can't be that simple.
That's all we're going. Well, it's like your 5 folders, right?
Yeah.
That's all we're going to do. We don't have to complicate it past that because it's exactly like your process. Like if we have the 5 places we're going to market and email every week and social media and this, and this, and the 7 things we're going to talk about, the only thing I need to do is get you to do it consistently.
Ooh.
Like that's the problem. The people who win at the end are the people who did that super simple thing consistently for a year.
Yes, that right there. That's the quote. The people who win. Yeah. So what's your tips on doing things consistently? How do you do it? I mean, I know, well, answer that in 2 ways. How do you help your clients do that? Or what do you teach them? How do you get them to do it? And then how do you do it?
I think I might be a unicorn. So I'm an Enneagram 3. If anybody knows anything about Enneagram, I'm an Enneagram 3. What's your Enneagram?
3.
Okay, there you go. That's how we do it, Tracy.
Yeah, but how do then we help someone else do it?
Well, so I believe in the power of coaching, and I want to sell anybody who's listening, please come work with me, have a consultation with me. I'd love to work with you. But the point is, people need accountability. I really believe in that. And so how do you do it? I think it's painstaking in the beginning to try to get your business built. And that sounds horrible, but you have to work on learning tech that you've never done. And there's so much drama that comes with that. Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Mhm.
Then you have to like put yourself out there and you're like looking at yourself on your phone going, oh my God, my neck is wrinkly. And you have to get over all that nonsense. Then you have to learn, you have to learn how to sell. You have to like decide that, you're not listening to somebody say, I don't have any money, and you're not going down to $50 for your coaching instead of 5,000. There's so many things you have to learn that I think having the accountability, not just the direction, but and I love group coaching because there's also this accountability that happens in a group.
Mhm.
It's almost like you don't want to show up and be like, I didn't do anything again 3 weeks in a row. Right. Where
Yeah.
when you're doing private coaching, it's much easier to be like, family happened last week and you don't do it. So I
Yeah.
basically have a minimum baseline of what I do in my business. And it's kind of like, Tracy, I heard you mention you were lifting weights, and it's like, this is the baseline of what I like on the worst week. This is
Yeah.
my minimum baseline of what I'm going to do. And that's kind of what I have. It's just that my level's higher than most people's. It's like on my
Yeah.
worst week, I'm going to do a podcast and multiple emails and my walk and talk with Debbie. And I just built up to that.
Yeah,
So
I think that a couple things you said are key. The building up, we're just going to start with one thing.
yeah, one
And
thing.
I'm doing this year, the 12-week year, and I've
That's so
been,
good.
yes. And so I've really, now I can look at my health goal of the 3 goals that I'm focused on and think, okay, it's because I'm scoring myself and because I'm sharing my score with someone else. And so I love now helping clients do that too. We set up like, what is it? And now what are you willing to score and what are you willing to bring back as your score? And then no judgment either way. We'll coach on it like you said, but what is it there? Why is it that you're not doing it?
So
Or how amazing that you've done it. And now 12 weeks later, you've reached your goal and you have this foundation that you're like my lifting. I know now I do it 3 times a week. And now it's that foundation that's there. And now I can move something else on top of that.
yeah. And the beautiful thing about that, Tracy, is you have the foundation for your lifting and you know how to do it. But also, what happens is we get ourselves messed up with our own, I call it your bratty brain gets in the way. The toddler throws a fit back there, the primitive brain. Somehow, really unconsciously, it's like one thing becomes a little bit of a priority. And so you think you have a habit set.
Mm-hmm.
And then saying, you're a little bit off track. It's like, okay, 1 week turned into 2 weeks. And now there's a blizzard outside and I can't drive there. And the next thing, and I mean, I'm speaking from maybe that's not your story, but that's what I see as humans that we do. It takes a long time to change really who you are. And again, I think that's the power of having a coach to say like, interesting, let's look at why is it that you're not working out? I'm telling my own story here.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Going in those like sections where you've dropped it off. I think for me too, what's helped is it is letting go of the all or nothing part of it. Like I am going to do this 12-week program and it's going to be perfect versus no, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to learn as I go and I'm going to not quit. And that's what, even if you miss 2 weeks, you're still someone who works out consistently. And, but I even let's keep scoring that for the whole year, even though I'm focused on 3 other goals, because now I kind of have that, but I still don't want to lose the, I guess, accountability part. But I'm with you as far as accountability. I kind of was taught you just need to be accountable to yourself. I'm like, I think accountability is so powerful.
Well, when you're learning to do something, I mean, look, in high school, we had coaches. We didn't show up to practice unless the coach was, it's like, I'm tired today. It's like, no, the coach is there. Like, I mean, seriously, it didn't matter whether you were in drama or whether you were in the play or what you were in. Somebody was holding you accountable. I mean, we have accountability at work. I haven't worked for somebody else for 25 years, but like you go to work, if you don't show up, somebody's going to be asking you. The truth is we have lived our life with accountability and we make it kind of like a bad thing. And like, why can't you just do it yourself? I mean, we're accountable to our kids for getting up in the morning. really, our life is filled with accountability. So it's not a bad thing. And I don't think anybody's weak. I think actually we're powerful women for saying, oh no, we want more in our life. And so we want to have somebody else be our partner in getting us to the next place.
Yeah. Oh, I
That's what
love
I
it.
want. That's why I hire coaches. I'm like, I'm going somewhere and I'm going to make sure somebody helps me get there.
Yeah. So looking back over this last year for you and how much you've worked in setting up all these systems and
Yeah.
SOPs, what do you think's been the most challenging, hardest part of it?
So it's so funny because it's exactly like my clients have
I'm
had
sure.
to learn. And again, I'll just say for all of you guys who are think you're learning your stuff and you're getting it done for done, I have had to learn things that I didn't know that I needed to know about my business. So I've learned we've switched to some more complex tech. I have probably about 12 or 15 micro courses. And this is going to sound funny, but that was hard for me to do. Now I teach you know, Tracy, I do workshops all the time. My program actually has an educational component to it. It's already done, but I have never bought a micro course ever. So
Oh,
for me to
wow.
I'm not somebody who buys any of that stuff online. So for me to want to get into that world for myself, that was hard for me to figure out like, wait, what am I supposed to do? And how's this going to work? And so it's funny, some of the most basic things that were challenging. And that was a lot while I have a bigger business than I've ever had. And also restructuring at the same time of having a bigger business than I've ever had. And then the top layer to that was the coach that I hired is she's a former accountant and I am not a numbers girl. And she's a former accountant and I have tracking sheets like you cannot believe. But this is how you make money.
Right.
You have to know your conversions. You have to know and if you're not looking at all those things, you know, people get there, but as we know in this world, they get there and their margins they spent all that they made and they made $2 million and it cost them $2 million to make 2 million. It's like, so you have to really, I'm blown away at the tracking and that's been a brain bender for me. Honestly, I'm like,
Hmm.
well, I don't have time for it's the one thing that I want to avoid every day is looking at that tracking sheet. Ooh.
It's a good thing to think about because I'm also attracted to people that love numbers, like coaches that love numbers because I don't even want to look at it. I think if someone pulled all those up for me, I think it would be fun to look at. I
It
think
is
it's
fun to look at when somebody
gathering
else
all
does
of
it.
them. And it seems so hard. And so that's my least favorite thing to do as well. But to be the person, like you're saying, who makes $1 million, it is someone who looks at their numbers and analyzes them and finds them and pulls them up together, whatever. So it is who we become in that process.
So you have a way, even Tracy, this is kind of how it works. Like I know how much money per every lead that I have in my business. I know how many dollars I earn for every single lead. And that number changes virtually every day. For every day that I make another dollar or a new lead comes in, this number is constantly changing because it's all set up on these spreadsheets that's filtered and stuff. So I know exactly. I've just literally the last piece to my puzzle is available today. It's a quiz for you to come take,
Ooh.
debbiesham.com/quiz. And it's a quiz that helps coaches see why they're stuck in their business. And it's kind of the final piece of the whole puzzle that I built. But I know exactly what I need to do, like put a little more money here. And that money that I put there needs to convert this way to make this happen, to make this happen. I have the whole thing, God willing, it all works out the way it's set up. But we've been working on it for a year and I've seen it. I look at the numbers enough that I see how it's working now. So it's pretty cool.
It is cool. And it's cool just watching you explain that because it's like you said, the $1 million Debbie, she knows
Yeah.
those numbers. It reminds me of Shark Tank. And when they say, what's your
Yeah.
client acquisition, whatever,
Right.
like they know, like you would be able to stand there and tell them all the numbers. It's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And I would not have been, I used to look at those numbers before But the old Debbie would be like, okay, I need to do this. Like I was looking at like in Kajabi at this, and I was looking at this, and I was looking at my Stripe account. And then I was like, okay, I've always been a numbers girl, but
Right.
not like with formulas and with, I could always, because my income has depended on me selling always,
Right.
I've always done like I'm a calculator in my brain. So I'm always doing that, but I never made a formula on a spreadsheet before. To write a formula on a spreadsheet is like, I know how to do that stuff now.
Yes. Anything else just from your own business that you've learned that you feel has, been up there? One of the top things you've
Yeah.
transformed in.
So I would say, I always knew this, but I know it more than I've ever known it, that the only path to clients is through marketing. It just is. And it's a very simple thing. And marketing is just literally talking about your business. And there are so many ways to do that. There are many complex ways. I only teach clients how to do it for free. So we only focus on free things. But, Tracy, I know you go to church, so I'll say this. When you go to church and somebody says, hey, Tracy, how are you? What are you up to? And you're like, oh, I'm fine. It's been kind of a stressful week. And then you walk on. That is literally a doorway that just got opened for you to say, oh my gosh. In the Organized Coach Academy, I took on 2 new clients this week, and we are literally helping people get their businesses organized. I am so excited about it.
That
That's the way
right
you grow
there.
your coaching business.
Yes.
It is that simple. And we have those opportunities are opened up to us all the time. And what we're doing instead is we're waiting on, could the one social media post we did for the week, like, I didn't get anybody to like it or comment on it. And it's like, wait, this is your whole life is your business now. So I think that's the biggest thing. And even for me, what I guess you said, what have I learned? Even though I've had the best year that I could have imagined, and I don't even know how it happened to be as good as it did. And I'm so beyond the moon thrilled. But I had my foot off the gas for 7 of those months. How I essentially doubled my business, I don't know. I mean, it was all the hard effort I put in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can say is, if I would have had my foot on the gas the last 7 months, I'd have quadrupled my business. So it is literally the key to your success. You can look at my numbers and look at what I did do or didn't do, and also the energy that I showed up to the marketing with, completely driven by what your results are.
Yeah. I love that people can take that today. Like, go out today, or if you don't go out,
Yeah.
go out tomorrow when you're out and say that to someone next time. Talk about your business in the next opportunity that someone talks to you. That's such a good thing to practice. And
Tracy, your friends at church who work or who are realtors or whatever, if you said, hey, what's going on? They're like, oh, geez, the housing market's kind of, or geez, I just closed on a house, or I have an open house tomorrow. That's how they talk.
yeah.
Why are we not talking that way?
Yes. Why? That's the answer. That's your journal prompt to take with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So when people come into your program, do you want to talk a little bit about how you help a coach make money?
Yeah. So I think I'll just give a brief thing. I think first of all, I think coaches just don't really know how to be in business. I think they think being in business is putting a few social media posts up, and even that is scary and complex, and you're not sure if you're doing it right. I think you get a website and somebody should come. I got certified. That's not a business. Those are just things that are out there. So 2 things I'll say that hopefully would be a big takeaway. One is, if you put your mind on a boutique, and I've just named it a boutique, a store that's down the street, and that is a brick-and-mortar building that you are paying rent on and utilities on and insurance on, that is down there, and you imagine that in your mind, you would not ignore your business that was down the street, because the gas has to be paid and the utilities have to be paid. And you'd be thinking, how am I going to get somebody to come in here? That would be on your mind. You would be like, if I got some new dresses in, you'd be saying like, okay, I got some new dresses in. They are so cute. Please come in and shop. And if your friend's going on a trip, tell them I've got some cruise wear in too. Like you'd be telling people, come in. You would not be just standing in your shop. You'd be thinking, could I put in like a flag out by the street? We don't do that somehow in our coaching business. So that's the first mindset shift I think that could change everything for you is that if you think about, I have a boutique, name it whatever you want to. I don't care if your boutique's Walmart, but name it a boutique and think of your building and imagine, you're unlocking the door and you're going to work and you are trying to figure out how do I get people in there? That would change everything in a coaching business because all we think is it's this online thing and we think one post is enough. You would never do that if you had an online business. I mean, if you had a boutique versus your online business. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, I think there's really is 4 phases to business. And I think the first phase is becoming a business that looks professional. I call that being seen as a successful coach. There is this illusion of success that can be created through, I teach people how to do branding. We do it with Canva. It's free. I mean, basically. So you can create a brand if you know how to do it. And that you need to have a designer to help do that. I know how to do that. You have to know how to talk about your business. So that's like being seen as successful, and show up to work. I mean, you look great. I'm dressed. Show up to work like you're going to work. Those things really do matter. We only have one chance to make a first impression. So being seen as successful is the first kind of phase, working on that and taking that seriously. The second part is about becoming well known. And that's literally what it is. Like, did you even tell the guy next door what you do? Does he really understand what you do? Probably not. It's like, how do you tell people? People will say, I don't have an email list. And I say, oh, yes, you do. It's in your inbox right now. Every person that is on your email list, we're going to email them and tell them what you do. That's like streaking down the street. Like that's horrible. But that's how you get in business, right? So becoming well known. And we provide people with like emails to copy and we make it as easy as possible because it is painful. So that's kind of the second phase. And then the third phase is about really getting consistent exposure. And that's the marketing. Again, we only talk about marketing for free. And I mentioned to you about making a marketing plan. So, like I know what I'm doing on Monday. I don't have to think, what should I do? It's like I send one weekly email and I do that. So that's kind of the third stage. And then the fourth stage is once you have all those projects done, your website done and your branding done and your messaging done, and you're consistently doing this stuff and you've brought on your first clients and you've taken payments and all those things, then you have to figure out how to maintain it. And I always say, and not be in business jail. Because not everybody wants to work 100 hours a week. So how do you go back and repurpose content? And how do you make like bringing on clients easier? And how do you make it so it is your boutique business that you can enjoy? So that's kind of the stages that we walk clients through. It's everything. We do start to finish.
Yeah, I love those 4. I just have never heard it like that before. That's so clear. And it sounds lovely, but I do love how you say it's painful. And you do the visual of someone streaking down the street. I can feel all of us, but a specific client I'm thinking of right now, that's what it feels like. But that visual, I'm going to have to share that with her. But that's what it feels like. Oh my goodness.
It is. I mean, think about it. The coaches, there's some embarrassment and shame. And this is what I like. I'm on a mission to change what people think about life coaches. It is literally like my why which is written right here, typed out that I look at every day is literally that. I am so driven because I think coaching, wow,
Powerful.
It changed what it has done for me, what it has done for my family. And I thought it was lovely, Tracy, but what it has done for me, my relationships, and honestly, I thought I had a good life, but it's priceless. So I feel that, and I don't even do life coaching, but I feel so like it's so significant and it's so misunderstood. And people, for a lot, I mean, I can say my feeling is it's devalued and they think it's kind of like, oh, pat them on the back. Oh, she's a coach. I want to debunk all that. And that can only help. That can only happen if people really know how to market themselves. They really know how to talk about themselves. And if they put themselves out there, and that is streaking down the street.
Yes, exactly. Oh, and the other thing that stood out that you said is just, I'm picturing myself standing in that boutique shop And I was thinking, okay, asking yourself every morning, how am I going to get someone in here? And then following up on it. But the things that came to my mind is like partnering with that other business that's down the street and talking with them and meeting with the other people in the city that's close by, like it is getting out there and talking, making connections.
Well, Tracy, you had a business that was local. So I'm talking to somebody who's been in business and has talked to people and done that. But if you kind of think about the people that you know and the people that, the people who come to work with me that have been in business, I can almost instantly guarantee that they're going to have success again, and it'll be pretty quick. If you've never been in business before, it's the whole concept of even learning how to talk about your business. And what's interesting is they typically only think about online and not anything local. They're like, oh no, I don't want to market local.
Then I have to leave.
That could be the easiest thing you do.
Yes.
Yeah. When you talk to somebody at the gym about your business repeatedly, the chances of you, first of all, learning how to talk about your business, second of all, actually making a connection that could turn into a sale is so high compared to the one post that you made to your 100 followers on Instagram.
Yeah. So good. Okay, Debbie, this has been really, I have little visuals now that are going to stick with me. So it's been good. Where can people find you? What's the best way to get with you?
Oh my gosh, I'm dying for you guys to come take my new quiz. So head over to debbieshadid.com. It's Debbie, Debbie, Shadid, SHADID.com/quiz. And come take our quiz to find out really what's happening with you, why you're not getting clients, why you're not growing your business. I am so excited about it. You get a personalized report back, literally based on your answers, that tells you what it is that's happening for you. So I'm super excited. So go take the quiz and find out where the gap is for you so you can focus on that.
I love it. I can go take that quiz right now. Thank you so much for being here. It was a joy to have you and learn from you, Debbie.
Thanks. Likewise, Tracy. Good luck to you. And to all of you guys in the academy, go get yourself organized, right?
Yes, do it.
All right. Have a beautiful day. Thanks, Tracy.
Wait, if you're finding this podcast useful, you must check out the Organized Coach Academy. It's my course where I walk you through every step to get your business organized, to get yourself organized, to save money and time, to prepare to hire someone, to do all the things that you want to do in your business with ease. Check that out at simplysquaredaway.com/OCA. Also, I'm sure you've heard this a million times, but I would love it. It's my way of knowing that you're enjoying the podcast if you leave a written review. I have lots of freebies for you. They're linked in the show notes. You can find them in my bio on Instagram at Tracy Hoth. And until next week, have a beautiful day.